Good morning. I'm Diane Porter, Chair of the Jefferson County Board of Education. Thank you so much for being here this morning. On Monday, April the 22nd, at the recommendation of Superintendent Dr. Donna Hargens, the Jefferson County Board of Education approved moving forward with a review of the district's financial policies and procedures by State Auditor Edelen. This request was initiated by the superintendent and the board for one reason: to evaluate our policies, procedures, and to ensure that JCPS has the appropriate data and information needed to direct our spending. We initiated this, we asked for it. We appreciate the hard work of our Chief Financial Officer, Cordelia Harden, and her staff. As elected officials, we work together, aligned to a common mission and shared goals to provide quality instruction for our students. This board is committed to achieving this goal and to ensure that the proper resources, systems, and processes are in place to support this effort. As the largest school district within the Commonwealth, the success of our community depends on JCPS achieving its vision of having all students graduate prepared. Under Dr. Hargen's leadership, our schools have and will continue to make progress. We ask for and expect recommendations to the board based on evidence, data, and best practices. We are confident that the recommendations and findings Auditor Edelen's office provides will strengthen and enhance our efforts. Again, this review is about what is best for all students of our district, enhancing the quality of programs and services in schools and continuing to boost achievement. Before I turn it over to Dr. Hargens, I would like to acknowledge my colleagues on the board who are joining us today. Carol Haddad, Vice Chair, David Jones Jr., and Chuck Hadaway. It is now my pleasure to introduce our superintendent, Dr. Donna Hargens. And again, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Chair Porter. It is such an honor to be the superintendent of Jefferson County Public Schools and to work with this Board of Education. And I appreciate Chair Porter and Vice Chair Haddad and all the members of the board. Every conversation that we've had since I came to the district in August of 2011 has been about student achievement and what's good for students. So let me take you back last year, which was my first year in the district. We started with an audit. It was called a curriculum management audit. We had 25 external reviewers come in. They looked at data, they did observations, and they also interviewed stakeholders. They looked at all parts of the system to align our work toward improving achievement for all of our students. They came up with 10 recommendations. Our priorities last year were for reorganization and to put systems in place to support student achievement, more resources in schools. So I want to acknowledge cabinet members that are to my left that are here. The Assistant Superintendent for Diversity, Equity, and Poverty, John Marshall. The Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Dewey Hensley. Chief Operations Officer, Dr. Mike Grazer. Chief Financial Officer, Cordelia Harden. We have the President of JCTA, Brett McCann. Dr. Bob Radowski is our Director of Planning, Executive Director of Planning and Data Management. And of course, we have our Director of Communications and Community Relations, Christy Lanier Robinson. So last year, our priorities were reorg, and so we went from a 17 to 18 member cabinet to a 6-member cabinet. Now, we had 10 recommendations, but we also did something important. We took community stakeholders into the community to look at what works in Jefferson County. What are the things that are making student achievement happen? The result of that, the curriculum management audit, and our own actually going into schools with community members, was Strategic Plan Vision 2015. This is a plan that has guided our work. When the district accreditors were here in January, they noted this plan as a powerful practice. They also noted community partnerships, all the partners that we have in the Louisville community, as a powerful practice. They told us and commended us for our refocus on student achievement. And most importantly, they talked about our focus on being honest and transparent. So this plan has 4 focus areas: increased learning, graduation and beyond, stakeholder involvement and engagement, this is a we thing, and safe, resourced, and supported schools. The last focus area is why we're here: resourced and supported schools. We need to ensure that every dollar that we spend can be linked to how it actually relates to increased student achievement. Strategy 4.5 talks about our financial responsibility for a return on the citizens' investment in Jefferson County Public Schools. That is why I recommended, and our board approved, the expenditure of funds to partner with and engage the Office of the State Auditor. This is about affirming best practices that are already in place, but it's about continuous improvement. We welcome this opportunity and the feedback. Our students deserve no less than every dollar being directed at them and their achievement. And it is my honor to have in Jefferson County Public Schools and to introduce to you State Auditor Adam Edelen.
Thank you. Great to see you. Well, good morning. You know, Mayor, I love this community. And one of the things I love about this community is the connection between the people and their public school. And you see it, let me let you in on a little secret. Those of us who aren't from Louisville always notice something about those who are. And that is, when 2 Louisvillians are introduced, inevitably the first question is, where'd you go to school? Folks, they don't mean college. And what that underscores is the cultural connection between the city of Louisville, the people who live here, and the quality of their public education system. Folks identify with the communities they came up in, they identify with the schools that they went to, and there's a tremendous amount of pride in this community and the public school system. And it is in that vein a belief that beyond just a fundamental belief that every child has a right to a world-class education, and that in doing so we have to make sure that the deal is square for the taxpayers, it is in that vein today I'm announcing that my office is accepting the recommendation and the request of the Jefferson County Public School Board to conduct a performance review of the largest school district in the state. The largest school district in the state, and incidentally the second largest government in Kentucky. It will be the largest examination scope ever launched by the Auditor of Public Accounts. And I come not to undermine the confidence of our community in public education, but to strengthen it. To strengthen it with a clear-eyed assessment about our strengths and weaknesses, about the operation of this central office in supporting classroom excellence throughout the community. We have an obligation to ensure that every education dollar is spent in support of classroom excellence. A clear-eyed assessment of the operation of this central office is critical to meeting that obligation. And folks, this effort should unify the entire community around a strong belief in, as the superintendent said, continuous improvement, and a belief that every child can be expected to learn at the highest levels. JCPS is a vast $1 billion public school system that possesses unique challenges. It has made improvements in recent years, and some individual schools, like Manual, rank as among the best in the nation. Yet the district faces challenges in providing a world-class education to all of its nearly 100,000 students. Keep in mind the diversity and complexity of the students that we serve in this county. Nearly 100,000 of them, more than 100 languages spoken in our schools. 62% of the kids qualify for free or reduced lunch. 10% are homeless. I want you to dwell on that for a moment. Think about a population where you have nearly 10,000 homeless children and the extraordinary difficulty that comes with making sure that these children have the opportunity to compete in the global economy. This isn't an easy business. And for partisans and critics alike, I think we all have to acknowledge how difficult it is in that environment, in a time of scarce resources, and making sure that we do meet that fundamental obligation to all our children. But a big part of that is making sure that education remains our top priority, especially in this era of uncertainty and scarce resources. If we don't make sure we are spending every education dollar wisely, we risk losing an entire generation of young people to poverty, a lack of opportunity, even drugs and crime. We're joined this morning by Mayor Fisher because he understands that there is no more important fundamental obligation of a community than to educate its children. It affects everything from health and crime to quality of life to the ability to recruit jobs and industry to this outstanding region. My office has completed 4 exams of school districts around the state, and we are in 9 others. Not only have these completed exams found some specific examples of fraud, they have also found broader issues of management and board oversight. The Auditor's Office will examine such issues as contracts and procurement, administration expenses, and travel, as well as policies relating to internal auditing and ethics. It will attempt to determine how central office spending compares to similar school districts around the country. It will also identify those best practices to control or reduce non-instructional costs. The scope at this point is broad and will serve as the initial guide for my office. As we begin to delve in, we will let the facts dictate both the length and breadth of the investigation. We also welcome information from the public and from Jefferson County Public Schools employees that they believe will be beneficial to the community in this effort. The ultimate outcome is an improved and efficient school system that provides our children with the world-class system of education that they deserve. My office will make strong recommendations that I am confident that this board and this superintendent will have the courage to follow, as they've had the courage to ask for this audit in the first place. As the taxpayer watchdog, it's my job to make sure that the people of Kentucky get the appropriate return on investment. As a parent, it is my fundamental belief that we've got to make sure that our most precious resource, our children, get the skills and experiences that they need to be able to realize the American dream in their hometowns like Louisville, Kentucky. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, the Mayor of Louisville.
Good morning, everybody, and I want to congratulate everybody involved here with JCPS for their continuous improvement journey. Never over, is it? So this is just yet another step. And as most of you all know, I'm a business guy, entrepreneur that just happens to be mayor. And I've been mayor now for 2.5 years, and I've seen all types of audits throughout my business career and public career as well. And I can say without a doubt that audits always lead to better organizations, whether they're businesses, whether they're governments or schools. And really great organizations embrace audits. This is a changing culture for some folks, you know, where they look at the audit as the boogeyman when he comes in. But healthy organizations already have a culture of internal audits, process control, process checking, and so they welcome help from a third or second set of eyes when they come in. So audits help organizations and people who run them to continually improve, and obviously that's what we're all about, whether it's the private sector or the public sector. During my administration, you all have seen that we've embraced audits and performance reviews of all of our departments. That's just part of the daily work of the city. They have unequivocally led to a better government and a better internal culture as well, that I call a weakness-oriented culture, where we're talking about the gaps from where we're at today to world-class performance and how we can get there. And obviously that's what JCPS talks about every day. We've seen how Superintendent Hargens has used audits throughout her tenure here to improve JCPS and move the community forward as well. And I know the same is going to happen with this audit. So I congratulate the superintendent, the school board for stepping up one more time and say, let's see how we can improve. Dr. Hargens has been a super strong advocate for saying that JCPS must be accountable, and it also must be the best large urban school district in the nation. This audit's going to bring a fresh set of eyes to our schools, and that's a good thing. And I got to tell you, Superintendent, every time you say our goal is to be the best large public urban school district in the country, I mean, it makes me happy, because that is the goal. But what we've seen from JCPS also is unflinchingly say we're not there yet today. If we had a group that said, That's our goal, that's where we're here, that's where we're at, there's nothing to worry about. That's when as a community we should say, uh-oh, we got a problem. What we've got a group here is a group of people that are relentlessly working on improvement. So I really want to thank Dr. Hargens, the JCPS board, for continuing to ask the hard and often difficult questions with one goal in mind. And that's what we hear from JCPS all the time. How can we get our students college and career ready, and making sure also that the classroom is the center of the universe. That should be the goal with the majority of funds that we invest in our school system as a city. So Dr. Hargens' administration and her personal beliefs start with this bedrock principle and never-ending principle as well, that all kids can learn. Regardless of where you come from, regardless of what your situation might be, every kid can be a superstar. And I'd like to thank Auditor Edelen for the important role that you're playing in this endeavor. The Office of the State Auditor and City Government are no strangers to each other. We've had some very productive exchanges over the year. And I know Adam also has an unbending focus that education is the most important thing that we can do as a society. So anything we can do, from the government standpoint or private citizen standpoint, we need to do. Audits also obviously provide an accountability mechanism for us. It's a big operation here, over $1 billion budget of taxpayer dollars. People obviously want to see the report card as often as they can. So to me, this is just good stewardship. It's common sense. Something good has come out of every audit that I've been involved in. My role as mayor is to speak on behalf of all of our citizens here in Louisville, 750,000 of them, and also oftentimes to ask hard questions, and I like to say to be the conscience of the community, to remind everyone every day that JCPS is an integral part of every challenge and the bright future that our community faces. So why am I here? I'm here today on behalf of our employers who want the best workers they can find to lead in a global economy, as we've all talked about many times. Our kids are not just competing against other states, they're competing against Singapore, they're competing against Finland, all over the world. So we've got to have kids that can compete globally. I'm here today to represent the taxpayers who obviously want their money spent as wisely as possible so our kids do achieve the goal of Superintendent Hargens, her administration, the board, of having the best large public urban school district in the country. I'm here today representing the parents who obviously, like every parent, wants their child to have every opportunity imaginable for them. And I'm here obviously to represent the students themselves who deserve the best education in the country. So much of what city government does every day begins with education. From job creation to health improvements, all of it depends on having the best educated population we can. And the success of JCPS depends on everybody in the community stepping up. I can't tell you how tired I get when I see people criticizing organizations. It's real easy to be a critic on the couch and tell people how things should go. It takes a lot more courage to get off the couch and help. So I'd like to use this occasion, like I use many occasions, to ask people to step up and help JCPS in any way they can, whether it's helping a kid get to grade level reading or mentoring programs, internships. Everybody in the community can help JCPS. With our leadership here, with Dr. Hargens, we have a superintendent who says without qualification that we should be the best. I've said that many times. She is unwavering, period. And her action here today, once again, proves that she and her team are on the path to this goal of best in country. It wouldn't be happening without the JCPS board as well. So Madam Chair and the rest of the board that's here, I want to thank you all. You have tough jobs. And I'd say Superintendent Hargens probably has the toughest job in the community. But our school board serves with a lot of attention, with no pay to speak of, just for the betterment of the community. We really, really appreciate that. So this audit's going to be one of the last vital pieces as Dr. Hargens completes her transition here. And I think it's going to be a process that's going to make sure that we're as efficient as we can be with JCPS so that we have the best schools, possible so that our children's future and the community's future is bright as it possibly can be. So thanks everybody for being here this morning.
I'm sure the Superintendent Harkins and the Mayor and the Auditor will take your questions.
I have a question for Auditor Edelen. The board invited you in for this audit. Were you prepared to do an audit whether you were invited in or not? And if so, why?
Well, first let me say, as the taxpayer watchdog, I jealously guard my right to pursue the public tax dollar wherever it goes. But that was a bridge that we didn't have to cross because this school district did precisely the right thing. And Dwayne, if people are looking for the model for how this worked, and certainly I began my tenure, as those of you probably heard, with an investigation of a little-known former Commissioner of Agriculture. But we got into that investigation because the new commissioner and I had several conversations. And the way we got here, indeed, was the fact that I had a number of conversations with Donna Harkins. It was precisely the model that we used in spurring the investigation of the Department of Agriculture, which I think everyone agrees was a landmark accomplishment in the area of good government. And Donna Harkins and I have a solid professional relationship, and these were based on conversations that we've been having for some months.
On that score, Adam, have you received any complaints at all, or is there anything in particular that your office is already aware of within the school district that would have prompted you to this audit?
Joe, did I get a complaint that 40 members of the 40 lunch ladies went to Las Vegas on a conference like I got in Kenton County? No. Did I get a specific allegation that a former superintendent drained the bank account of a very poor school district? I did not. But I think what we do know is that here in this community, and certainly all across the state, there is a real concern about how non-classroom dollars are being spent. And in an era in which back-to-school lists look like shopping lists, when taxpayers aren't getting any relief, in which teachers aren't getting the raises that they deserve, I think now is the appropriate time to make sure that we are doing everything to right-size educational bureaucracies and to make sure that every dollar that the taxpayers invest goes to drive classroom performance. So that's the reason why we're here doing a performance and management audit, which does differ, frankly, from audits that are solely focused on holding people to account for the crimes or abuses of offices that they commit. Not every audit's purpose is to produce indictments like we've done lately. This is an investigation that is focused on making sure that this structure runs as efficiently as it can, making sure that the resources that we have are driving student performance in the classroom. And if we uncover things that make us uncomfortable, we're going to be clear-eyed about that. And it's a conversation that I've had with Superintendent Harkins and many members of the board, like David Jones, a clear belief that we've got to find out the facts and we've got to let them dictate our path. And I think everybody in this room is comfortable with the fact that, you know, my office doesn't do whitewashes. We offer a clear-eyed assessment of the status of what's going on in the entity in which we're investigating. And that's going to continue to be the approach that we take as long as I'm the taxpayer watchdog.
Much of my focus actually has been on the salaries, the bureaucracy. Would it be fair to say that you will be focusing as well on the bureaucracy, those who are at the top, and how that relates to how this should be in comparison?
Certainly, how non-classroom dollars are spent is an important part of the scope of this examination. But I'm not going to comment on that any further, Dwayne, because I can't prejudice my own investigation. We're going in clear-eyed and plain-hearted and open-eyed about what we may find, and we're not going to turn a blind eye to anything. But this is about making sure that a school district that has extraordinary challenges in educating an extraordinarily diverse student base is using all of those resources that they've got to affect classroom excellence.
Is there some perceived lack of public trust that the district is looking to address here?
Well, I don't deal in perception. As the taxpayer watchdog, I deal in facts. And what we're here today, I hope, at the invitation of this superintendent and the school board, with the reformist and modernizing posture to make sure that this organization is doing all it can to run as efficiently and effectively and to free those dollars to get into the classrooms where they can have the most impact.
Superintendent Harkins, if you would address that issue, is there a perceived lack of public trust? Is it something you're trying to specifically address here?
Well, I think what there is a commitment, as has been said, to fiscal accountability and to accountability. When I came into the district last year, we promised, and we were acknowledged by district accreditation, advanced ed accreditors, for honesty and transparency. What I've heard the community say is, tell us how big the mountain is that we need to climb. And we as a community, as the Louisville community, are going to help you climb that mountain. So this is very consistent with just being honest and transparent about everything in the district.
To date, every audit that you have conducted, Mr. Edelen, has resulted in findings of import. This is your biggest audit. First, how long will it take? Do you anticipate? And do you anticipate finding at least something that will improve the school district?
I'm a fellow who learns from his mistakes, and the first mistake I made as state auditor was during the Richie Farmer investigation, telling the world that we could have it wrapped up in 2 months. I will never do that again. Now, I don't want to compare the Jefferson County Public Schools to Richie Farmer. That certainly wouldn't be fair. But I do want you to know that I've learned my lesson about speculating on the length and breadth of the investigation. The facts will do that. I will tell you it would probably require a Herculean effort to get it done this year. We're going to be committed to getting the facts. We're going to be committed to making strong recommendations, all the while not upsetting the day-to-day operations that go on here with the very important focus of making sure kids get educated. And do I think? Yes, I think there will be substantial weight to our findings and our recommendations, and that's something that the superintendent and her board have insisted on, that they want to get what they're paying for, and we're going to come back, I'm confident, with significant recommendations that will lend itself to making this, help making this the best urban school district in the United States.
What is the estimated cost for this, especially considering the fact that it's the largest audit your office has ever undertaken?
It is, Joe. We have given the, I believe the school board voted for an appropriation of up to $120,000. I want you to know that the cost to my agency will be a multiple of that. It's just an enormous institution that is only, frankly, only overshadowed in its size by the size of its mission. And I want to make sure all of your readers and viewers are also aware that this isn't an audit of individual schools, far from it. We're not going to get in and complicate the lives of educators and administrators who are trying to do their job. This is about making sure that this building that we're in and the people employed here are doing all that they can to make sure that we're, again, driving student performance.
And Dr. Harkins, I don't want to be flip. With everything that's said, with the weight of what has been done with audits previous to this point, there's a lot at stake. And I just want to get a sense from you, while you invited the auditor in, this is a big deal, it's historic, it hasn't really been done here at this level. Give me a sense of what you're feeling about this coming in addition to welcoming it. There's a lot at stake, so can you address that a little?
Well, I wake up every day knowing there's a lot at stake. 101,000 students are depending on us for a quality education. It is their key to a future. So I wake up every day knowing a lot is at stake. Last year when we had the curriculum management auditors come in, as everyone said, there's been a lot of improvement. We've done a reorg, we saved $4.4 million in that process. We have a new focus that is getting recognized. So to me, this is a natural part of the process. The reason we didn't do a more extensive financial audit at the beginning of last year was because our priority was the curriculum management audit, which again pointed to the reorg. That was recommendation number one. And also making sure that every school was focused on student achievement. So this is a natural closure actually to our having our system audited. So we've been implementing the strategic plan. Did I show you that? For 9 months. It was approved by the Board of Education. On the top of it, it says, we are committed to being the best urban district. Louisville deserves it. Our students deserve it. So to me, it's a natural flow of what we've already done.
No anxiety about this?
Absolutely not. Honesty and transparency is absolutely what we're all committed to. Absolutely no anxiety about it.
I just want to add there, when Donna was here early on, we were at J.B. Atkinson and in one of the classrooms, and I know a lot of y'all have been there. Dewey obviously created the model down there, which is achieving tremendous results for the kids. And as we're walking through there, she looked at me in the eye and said, this is the center of the universe. This needs to be the center of the universe for JCPS, the classroom, and the support in the classroom. And around the educational industry, you hear a lot of kids say, you hear a lot of people say, it's all about the kids. I don't know what percentage of adults really act that way, but it's not the majority in my experience. This is a group here that when they say it's about the kids, they mean it. And so when you say there's a lot at stake, I know what Donna's thinking about and her team and the board, teachers, it's each one of these kids that they teach every day. And when you miss a year or 2 years or 3 years of effective teaching and kids' education, there's a lot at stake for the community. So the main story for me coming out here today is the leadership these guys are showing by stepping forward and saying, come in and help us. Every audit that we did at the city produced in the neighborhood of at least 100 recommendations. There's no organization that's perfect, but the ones that are great are always looking to improve, so I would hope that we'll find things that we can improve coming out of this that are going to be used for each one of those kids that we're talking about.
There are no other questions.
I have one more, sorry. When will the audit begin? When do you begin the process?
The process begins nearly immediately, and the first order of business, as Superintendent Hargens and I discussed this morning, is to convene a summit of the principals to get the folks who will be running the examination from my office together with the folks who do run the central office here to have a clear dialogue about what we're going to be requesting in the near term and how we find our way through what is a very complex but really important system of government.